flip. Well, sorry guys. We need to start that soon. I still have some questions for you. Anyway, we can stay for a few more minutes after this?
Sure.
Okay. So, even after...
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah.
You did no intro, so.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay, so... We're back with our Tuesday night live stream. I got distracted there.
We're just going right into it like we had a second session.
Yep. So this, did I put your cup on?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I want to kind of explain this because I meant to do that in the first session, but of course I forgot. So, David, can you bite your tongue?
I do that all the time, especially when I'm eating.
Oh yeah.
And it hurts.
And
So I'm not gonna bite my tongue.
fair point. And explain this chart the way I would. Let's see if you can do it. Now you've been here for 2.5 years. You know my preaching style. So go ahead, Dave.
Well, what you've done, you divided the timeline, just like you got divided up into 6 parts.
Yes.
And you've gone from creation to Noah. I would have gone from creation to Abraham. That's where I'd gone. Yeah. Then you got Abraham to Jesus.
Yep. Daniel's prophecies.
And then from Jesus, I would have gone another 3.5 years. I would have gone to Pentecost to start the church age. Then you're coming down today, which pre-tribulationists believe that there's still 7 years left out of this back here. It needs to be brought forward here.
But where does that little yellow stripe represent?
What does what represent?
That stripe?
This right here?
Yep.
That would be,
Would that be here?
well, that's your 7 years.
Yeah. Would that be right here? That little yellow
Oh,
stripe
yeah.
is expanded to be this part of the timeline.
Yeah. It'd be,
I wonder if I saw that drawing.
where's 5 at?
5?
I don't see 5 up there. You got 4A through E, where's 5? There's 6.
Oh, 5 is that one right there.
Right here?
Yeah. The day of the Lord, which that's what we're in right now. We're finishing it up. We're finishing up the day of the Lord tonight.
So you're calling 1,000 years the day of the Lord.
Yes.
6 would be eternity.
Yes. Yep. So that's the deal. Yep. So guess who I was talking about to earlier about this?
Somebody I know?
Kinda.
That don't help me.
Just from phone call.
Oh, Hugh?
Howie.
Howie?
Yeah.
I knew it started with an H.
Yeah. So now you know whenever you and Don do this, and I guess Chicklums will do it too on Tuesday night. You got to get this down pat now.
No, that's not my view of it.
I know, but
I
that's
told
what
you
we're working on.
I would go from Genesis to Abraham, from Abraham to Jesus. 3 years.
Why Abraham? Abraham's a story of,
Because that's the beginning of righteousness.
yeah.
The counting, and it's telling that Abraham he's making a nation out of his heirs.
That's true.
Even though they don't get the law till Moses.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
You
fair
could,
point.
Well, you could run it from Genesis to Moses until
Fair
the law's
point.
given.
Fair point. Fair point.
But then the rest is about Israel. This here is about Israel.
Right.
Until you get to, well, this is about Israel even through Jesus. Until you get to Pentecost. And the church is born.
Cool.
So even Jesus falls under Israel.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then them 7 years that you got here is right here. Because that 7 years was never meant to be separated out of this right here. That 490 years in Daniel is included in the time of Israel.
Okay.
So that would mean that the rapture is a resurrection, and the first resurrection is at the beginning of the day of the Lord.
Okay. Well, let's get into that. So, what he's saying is, I mean, it's true. It's in Scripture. Question. So, what I'm trying to get you to understand is there has to be a treaty. There are movies, secular movies that
That's because they're based it on.
That have the bad guys as the one world government.
They're basing, if it's still a secular movie, they're getting their information from traditional belief.
Well, think about the Avengers. Think about the Avengers. You know, Infinity War.
Yeah, well,
What happened at the very end? Thanos snapped, and
certain people disappeared.
Kind of reminded me of the Rapture a little bit. I mean, of course not.
Yeah, but
there is a satanic symbolism there. Can you not see it?
Yeah, but the good guys won in the next
in
movie,
the end,
and they all came back.
Yeah, that's true.
And the ones that were here were still here, but the others came back.
So the message of that is
all because Ant-Man was trapped.
Yes.
He didn't know none of this affected him.
But go off of what you just said. That was perfect. So let's say you got the said rapture, right? Let's suppose that this is true, right? You got 7 years rapture, right? Let's just, for your sake, pretend that's true.
Okay.
Okay? So, God snaps his finger, whoop, we're gone. We're gone to heaven, or we're gone to heaven, and
now you're talking about,
and we come back and fight Satan on our white horses or clouds. Or,
well, it doesn't say. It just says the armies of heaven.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean us. That could have been angels.
But it does say that we will rule and reign with Christ.
Yeah, but that don't mean.
If that means, what does that mean? You know, what are we ruling if everybody's in perfect harmony? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I'm your boss, I'm ruling over you.
The thing about ruling and reign is being put on equal footing with Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think it's more.
But the thing is,
I think it's more metaphoric.
I mean, it could be symbolic.
I don't think. I mean, it's making it sound like there's going to be people less than us that we're going to have to push around. But that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
There's neither going to be male or female, so there's not going to be any pushing around. Everybody's going to be on equal footing.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm trying to get to.
The rule and reign would be the equal footing with Jesus.
Sure.
Because we'll all be equal.
Okay.
It just means that we will be there.
Yeah.
we're not going to be bossing anybody.
Then we're not reigning with him.
Yeah, we are.
Reigning over what?
Whatever he reigns over. And what is he reigning over? The new heaven and the new earth.
Yeah, but if everything is, which eventually at this point, from part 6, when we start talking about heaven, that's not going to matter. No, everybody, we're not going to have to rule and reign with Christ. We'll just be there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing is,
At that point, from the very end,
yeah.
when we go to the eternity side.
the eternity side is the New Jerusalem. When it comes down, we're there. We're in eternity.
Right, but look at the arrows. You see that E right there?
Yeah.
That's where we're at. We are at 5E.
Yeah.
We're not in eternity yet at this point.
What do you mean not in eternity yet?
I mean, we're still on Earth, perceptibly.
The earth is the new eternity. It says, I saw, chapter 21, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there was no longer any sea.
Right.
That is eternity. Because you're going to read. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, arrayed like a bride and adorned for her husband. And then I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, see, the tabernacle of God is among men, and he will live among them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them. That's your eternity, the new heaven and new earth. We're not going to be removed from the New Jerusalem for eternity.
We're perceptibly in Revelation 20, verse 9.
Yeah.
The new heaven and the new earth don't come till 21.
That's why I said you got to go to the end of 20.
Yeah.
Go back. When you got to verse 10, 9 and 10,
Yeah.
what did it say that Satan was going to do?
He was going to be loose for a season.
And what was he going to do?
To see the nations.
And what was he going to do with them people?
Make an army.
It says he's going to come up against the saints and the holy city.
Yeah.
And the only way for that to happen is for the holy city to already be here.
Yeah.
So when the new heaven and the new
But if we'll be up above the earth, how is Satan?
No. This is the end of the 1,000 years.
Sure, yeah.
And
I get what you're saying, but I'm just having trouble here.
Chapter 21 is the beginning of God's creating the new heaven and new earth.
Yeah, at verse 1 and 21, everything's perfect.
Well, here's what I'm trying to tell you. If Satan is coming up against the saints in the holy city, then 21 has already happened. Chapter 20, the first three verses, the first verses in 21's already happened. So eternity is already established.
Well, not if everything's made new in verse 1. Because 20, there's still bad things happening.
Yes.
In 21, everything's going to be brand new.
But Satan's going to be loosed against this chapter 21. He's going to be loose against them.
I don't see that, David.
Go back to chapter 29 and 10. It tells you that Satan goes against the saints in the beloved city.
Yeah, at that point.
But how do you get to that point if the New Jerusalem hasn't come down yet and the saints aren't there?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, actually.
Well, the saints are already there. We're the saints.
Yes, we're the saints.
Satan's coming against us.
Yes.
In chapter 20, Satan is coming against us.
Yes.
And for him to come against us, 21 has to already have happened. That's what I'm saying. You cannot come against the Saint New Jerusalem unless New Jerusalem doesn't come down.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that.
So that's what I'm telling you. That's why I told you when we did this a couple of weeks ago when we did Revelations in our Bible study.
Yeah.
And I seen where Satan is going up against the saints in New Jerusalem,
Sure.
or the holy city, and then we get to 21, and it says it comes down. I'm saying, well, Satan cannot do that unless the New Jerusalem has been established. And it says there's no more sea. But it says Satan goes out and deceives the nation, Gog and Magog.
Yes. Yes.
So if there's no sea and there's nations, the map of the world ain't gonna be the same as it is today.
That's true.
You can't say that it's Russia coming down or Turkey or anything like that.
True. Yeah.
The map ain't gonna be the same. There's not gonna be no sea.
Right.
Because
I see what
the
you're saying.
The New Jerusalem's already set down. Satan is going out and deceive the nations, Gog and Magog, and he's going to come up against the New Jerusalem.
Right.
So a season, or if he's being loose for a while, it's not going to be instantaneous.
Yes. Right.
He's going to be working on these nations for a period of time. It could be years.
Yeah.
But he's got his plan in motion. He's going to come up against the saints in New Jerusalem.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So that's what I'm telling you. 21 is more of an elaborate description of the New Jerusalem, which has already come down in chapter 20.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if
I kind of understand. Yeah.
I mean, I see it plain as
Kind
day.
of follow. Yeah.
I see it plain as day. I mean, Satan can't come against the saints in the holy city unless it's already here.
Right.
And the only way you're taking, so you're trying to take it in sequence.
Sure.
And I told you from reading chapter 21 that it's already happened in chapter 20. This is actually not in sequence.
Right.
So what about the whole book of Revelation? Is it in sequence?
Oh no.
It can't be.
No, it's not.
That's why the historist view sees that prophecy never ended with the book of Revelation. It kept going. The fulfillment of it kept going. It's not like, I think like the futurist view believes that the prophecy stopped and it won't be fulfilled until you get into the 7 years.
Right.
Any more questions?
I'm trying to get your standpoint. I really am. But anyway, we'll get into it next week for sure. We are finishing Satan, the 5E. Satan has not changed, not one bit, and we are going to be talking about that in this session. So God will show the world that even after 1,000 years of punishment, Satan has not changed. Some kids are like that. You punish them and they just don't get it. So Satan, he's not going to change. And even after 1,000 years of living in a perfect world by Jesus himself, people are still rebellious against God.
And these are probably the ones that were raised at the end of the 1,000 years.
In Genesis chapter 6.
And if he creates them like he did Lazarus, resurrects them like Lazarus, then you might have some procreation going on.
Yeah.
And they could.
Glad you said that. Okay.
They could make babies, and then maybe that's the one Satan's deceiving. But you got to look. If you're looking at that, a season's going to have to last at least a couple of generations.
Okay, you're getting close. Yeah.
So it could be 20 years after Satan's loose that he deceives the nations.
Right.
But the New Jerusalem's still here.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But there's
getting close. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though those that are raised at the end of 1,000 years, if they are raised like Lazarus was, there's no second chance for them.
Sure.
Because they'd had been in the first resurrection.
Right. Yes. Yes.
To get away from that.
I understand.
So the only way, if you're going to deceive somebody, you're going to have to deceive a new generation that follows that.
There you go. Okay, so okay.
That's just adding more to the white throne judgment.
Yeah. But anyway, Genesis chapter 6 states, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. That's an interesting verse, actually. Might need to go a little bit longer on that. I blessed y'all with a short session in the first one, so we might go a little bit longer here. So Genesis chapter 1, well, unless you have to be somewhere pretty soon.
Mm.
Genesis chapter 6 states, I'm glad you didn't catch that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
That's because,
by the way,
because they were they were with the sin nature.
Yeah, this was 4,400 years ago.
Well, the sin nature was started by Adam.
Yeah, but it's gotten worse from today's standpoint. Because if we were to hop on a time machine, and if I were to,
I don't think it's worse.
If I were to bring my,
you know why?
Bring a camera and call the President of the United States on my watch or phone or flip phone, because that would be just as impressive to these people, you know. Because you got to think they had ways of communication too. Have you thought about that? They knew about electricity. They knew about all of this stuff. So maybe I don't know about this. I don't believe this. This is just my theory. What if back then, you know, we see it, even I used to see it, like, you know, it's a desert. You know, there's people out in the field plugging cotton and all that. But what if? Some of these people were so close to God, Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, before Cain killed Abel, but you know, all these people had communications with God, talked to God every day, just like me and you talk to each other, just like anybody else can talk to each other.
Well,
it's not like now we pray to them; they actually talk to them.
Yeah, well, you know, God talked to Cain.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I'm saying, what if at this point,
your brother's blood cries out to me.
Yeah. But what if at this
my brother's keeper was applied.
What if at this point that they had cell phones? Again, you knew they had electricity. What if they had big, beautiful cities? Well, you know, what if they had all of that back then? Because especially Adam, he was fully programmed from day one. Many people haven't even thought of this, and I want to introduce you to this idea, David. Adam came fully programmed. He could walk, talk, name all the animals, and get married first day.
But that lesson we didn't get to finish says that Adam was intelligent because he named the animals.
There you go. Yep. So what if, you know, they had all that stuff?
My question is,
and history repeats itself, right?
My question is, how do you name sharks if there wasn't no sea around there?
Oh. That's a good question, actually. But anyway, what do you think about that theory?
Well, the thing about this,
because
we know up until the point of Noah.
Go ahead.
That Noah was the only one.
Sure.
That believed.
Yeah.
Now, in our day and time, you've got a lot of believers.
Yeah.
So the difference between then and now is a whole big difference.
True.
They didn't have the law, so they weren't accountable for their actions. They weren't. Romans says they weren't accountable for the sin.
Well, sure.
But they still died because of Adam's sin.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But still, Noah was a believer. And if God didn't let Noah build that ark and Noah perished too, would we be here? How do you know?
I mean, unless God created a new world or created someone else, I mean, I don't think we would be.
Well,
It's interesting.
no, look. What did God promise Adam?
He said, "Be fruitful, and multiply."
No, I mean after he sinned, what did he promise Adam?
From the sweat of your brow, you have to.
He promised him a savior.
Well, promise him the Savior. Yeah,
If
that's a given, though.
This is before Noah. If that promise was made then, God's got to fulfill it.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, for
and
sure.
the
That's
only-
what the entire Bible's about.
And the only way to fulfill it is to keep the human race going.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got to elect somebody to get them to believe,
Yes.
so that you can keep the human race going.
The
And he chose Noah.
God will never leave the world without a witness.
He chose Noah.
Yep.
Because if it's like you said, he'd have to start all over again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But-
yeah, for sure.
But he can't start off with something that's perfect anymore.
Right.
And
That makes
because
perfect sense. Okay.
Because the sin has
I
already
follow.
been introduced,
I follow and I agree with that. Okay.
and he's got to get that sin. You got to get that sin where he can judge it.
Yes.
And if he doesn't have Noah, he's not going to have that sin position.
Right.
To have
Okay.
it judged.
For sure.
So he's going to save some. He's going to have somebody to know that he's God, and he's going to make sure he believes in him.
Yes.
So he can get that sacrifice made to judge sin.
Definitely. So here's a very interesting phrase. Every imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, and God sees that. And Matthew 12, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever is in your heart, it comes out. You know.
Well, you know what
And
James said about the tongue.
Some people hide it very well. You know.
And some people speak without thinking.
Yep. Yep. That's me. And it goes on to say, a good man out of good treasures of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. And Proverbs 12 says, well, what does Proverbs 12 say, David?
Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. So you could have good moral persons thinking this, that he's doing right in his own eyes.
Yep.
But he still has that nature that brings out the imagination of the heart.
Right. Like,
That still make evil still possible.
yeah. Like Boaz.
What did he do that was evil?
No. It was his wife. What was her name?
Ruth.
Not Boaz. Boaz.
Yeah. Ruth.
Yeah. Okay.
Ruth was Edomite.
That'll be another video. I'm thinking about
She came back
Hosea.
and the prostitute.
Yeah. Because the prostitute, if you think about it, what they're doing is what they know, right? So they don't necessarily think what they're doing is necessarily evil. They're just doing what they have to do to.
Well,
So what?
Well,
So what she was doing
to start with, the prostitute
to her wasn't.
is making a living.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She didn't have to do that after she married
Hosea.
Hosea.
We know our Bible, guys. Yeah.
But the thing is,
We really do.
she still wanted more.
Yeah.
So she still prostituted.
But then again,
herself.
if you know, if that's all you know, it's kind of hard to break away from that. I know that from experience, by the way. What does Jeremiah say, Dave?
she's not thinking eternally either.
Yeah.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
Yep. But, what does it say?
The Lord searches the heart. The Lord searches the heart, and I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. No one will be able to accuse God of being unfair on Judgment Day.
Isn't that true? Isn't that interesting? And by the way, God knows your heart too. Well, I don't know your heart. Guess what? Hey, look at me. God knows my heart, and He loves me anyway. Isn't that something?
Yeah. Well, I just hope they don't.
I'm sorry.
I just hope they don't use the excuses that well, God, you're supposed to love everybody. How can you judge me unfairly if you love everybody?
Well, at this point, everybody's going to see. Oh yeah, God, you're fair. At this point, according to you, Adolf Hitler's going to say, "All right, God, you're fair. I deserve this."
But this here judgment is based on God's righteousness,
Yeah,
and mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So love ain't gonna have nothing to do with it then.
What do you think about that phrase, Abe? Is meanness, stubbornness, evil, genetic? Is there a mean gene?
I don't think so.
Can dogs be bred for viciousness?
Yeah.
For sure. Can dogs be bred for gentleness?
Yeah. But man can't.
But man can't. Yeah. Dmitry Belyaev.
Sounds like a Russian.
Yeah. Bred foxes for gentleness. So it can be true. It can be done. Are roosters bred to be vicious for cockfighting? Well, sure.
Well, you have to start them off young, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think you can you can have a rooster, but you can't have two roosters in the hen house.
By the way, it's interesting. Did you know that?
They're fighting over the hens.
Did you know that? Well, did you know that they can teach them, and they do chicken fights? And did you know that that is illegal in Alabama?
Yeah, been legal for ain't no telling how long. I don't know. My granddad used to keep one in his chicken pen for his guy.
Chickens can also be bred for gentleness.
Well, see, that's a hen.
Yeah.
That's not a rooster.
Yep.
Hens are going to be gentle anyway.
Yep. For those of you that don't know, this is me when I was 4 years old. And you see, I'm hooking that chicken. And you know what I'm thinking? Man, I can't wait for dinner time.
I'm thinking this to have it killed.
Yep. Hey, that's what they're used for, and chicken is good. Are some people more vicious than others?
Mm-hmm. Vindictive too.
Huh?
Can be vindictive too. Some are more vindictive.
Yeah.
It goes back to a human code.
Yeah. I like this. Mean Gene, there is so much savage here, it hurts my feels. Interesting. Go ahead, Dave. Read Exodus 21 for us.
He that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die.
Yep. What do you think?
Capital punishment.
Capital punishment.
Especially, it sounds like if it's premeditated.
Yeah. And he that smiteth, may rather, or his father or his mother shall surely be put to death, and he shall surely be put to death. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. Now this is right after the Ten Commandments. So
Man,
this
we
is
about that today. Whew.
yeah. And it goes on to say, the ox shall be surely stoned in his flesh and shall be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. But if the ox were not to push with his horn in time past, it has been testified to his owner. The ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall also put to death. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for a ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him.
So that means you can buy what your ox did to a person.
Yep.
If you can't, then you and the ox dies.
Yep. And it's not.
Well, you better have some money. You better have some money when you do.
Yeah. So Psalms 51 tells us to create in me a clean heart.
That was David.
Huh?
That was David.
Yep. Let's see. Yep. Well, this is it, David. We're about to end part 5, and next week we'll do part 6 in 2 sessions, hopefully. Let's see here. So, what have we learned thus far in this series, David? Have you learned anything? Have I changed your mind on anything at all?
All I know is
There we go.
well, I really got in studying prophecy, but you weren't the one that pushed me there. Another source pushed me in that direction. Of course, what I hope to bring is different ideas. Because nobody has the same view.
Yeah. But I mean that's good about different ideas. That's what this is all about. But what about this? What about the truth? Because there's only one truth. Wouldn't you agree?
That's why I lean towards more of the historical view when it comes to prophecy.
There you go. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Instead of futurist view.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, didn't get to this country until the 1800s.
Sure.
So it's fair. It's not even 200 years old in this country.
Yes.
So that tends to me to believe that these people that believe in the futurist view now, how can they explain anything about it if it's not that old in this country?
Right.
Man, the country's older than the view.
True. Revelation 20. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So, question. The devil that deceived everybody was cast into the lake of fire. But what about the false prophet and the beast? They're already in the lake of fire. Isn't that interesting?
Well, they're the only two there until everybody else shows up.
Yeah.
I don't think. It's like
So we know about the devil, but who's the beast and the false prophet? Are they?
That's the one that goes against. That's the one Satan raises before the.
Are they humans? Are they humans or are they angels? Are they mortal or are they immortal?
Well, I tend to believe, like the reformers believe, that it's the Catholic Church.
Yes, sir.
Because they've already changed laws in time. And
Catholics.
I go back to this part where here is how can Satan be tormented if he's immortal?
I don't know, but that's what it says, and I believe it.
Like I told you,
He's going to be tormented one way or the other.
he can't be tormented physically.
He has to be.
He can't feel pain. He's immortal.
I guess he has to. That's what it says.
You know, it has to be something else. It has to be mentally. And the only way you can torture something immortal mentally is knowing that there's something just as immortal as you are, that's more powerful than you are. And mentally, you know that he can destroy you completely. So that's what Satan's got to sit there and think about. When's it coming?
For all of eternity.
When am I going to be completely annihilated? Because he can't torment me physically. I don't feel pain. I don't cry. I don't suffer. So it can't be a physical torment. I think it has to be a mental torment for him and the demons.
Yeah. True. I'm not knocking it,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, in some ways, he's going to be tormented because that's what the Bible says. In some way, either that be, he's not going to like it.
I would have to.
He's not going to like it, and it's going to be a bad day for Satan. For Lucifer.
I would have to go back and check out what they mean by forever and ever.
Eternity.
Well, I don't say eternally, it says forever and ever.
Well, what does eternity mean?
Well, I can tell you I love my wife forever and ever.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway.
But when I'm dead, that forever and ever is gone. And that love that I had forever and ever when I was alive is gone. So that's what I'm saying. It's you gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, 20 and 21 have kind of opened my eyes up to what Satan is going to do after the 1,000 years, what the earth is going to be like, because there's going to be no water. New Jerusalem's already come down.
Sure.
For Satan to attack, it's got to be here.
Yes, I understand that.
So, and most people take it in sequence. They don't. I'm thinking the way I used to read it, that I kind of overlooked where he said he's coming against the saints in the holy city. And I'm thinking the world is still mapped out like it is today.
Sure.
But when you get into 21, the first verse, it tells you there's no more sea.
Yep.
So Gog and Magog, there's no ocean when it's Gog and Magog's here.
Right. Yes, that's true.
So the face of the earth is going to look different. How many nations is it going to be? I don't know.
Right.
Is it going to be Americans or British or Germans or Russians? May not be.
May not be. That's true.
But there'll be some kind of nation. Now that blows your mind.
Yeah. And next week we'll be in the Great White Throne. We'll all be there. MOON. That's because we'll all be there.
That's what you need to tell them. You don't want to be, like it says, you don't want to be part of the White Throne Judgment. You want to be in the first resurrection.
Yep. But more on the lake of fire in part 6. So, thou art righteous, O Lord, which art, and which was, and which shall be, because thou hast judged thus, for they have shed the blood of the saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I have another, and I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments.
And like I said, love ain't gonna have nothing to do with them judgments.
Yep. So, come on now. So in the next session, there we go. In the next session, we'll be in part 6. The Great White Throne, eternity, heaven, lake of fire. Might be there for another. Why is it doing that? Stop.
You gotta have to finish up next week.
Do what?
You're gonna have to finish up next week.
Oh yeah, we'll finish it up in the next 4 or 5 months. But that is going to wrap up this Tuesday night. Next to the last one, guys. It's coming quicker than I thought.
About 10 days.
It is, isn't it? Wow.
So you're leaving on the 2nd, which would say a week from Friday will be the 2nd. So that'd be 7 days, and they Wednesday and Thursday. That's about 10 days.
Yep, just about it. But we will for sure see you next week.
And if you missed any of these for the last 2 years, shame on you. We've been having fun and kidding around as well.
Yep. And also you can just scroll down and you can watch them all on YouTube. We don't charge anything. You know, most people, your best friend, he charges. You know, you have to buy all of his stuff, and you know, we don't do that. You know, we're here for really the fun and this fellowship and for a Bible study. You know.
Yeah, you ought to see us before we even start, and after we start.
Yeah. Well,
it's just after we finished.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, that is
A wrap.
That is a wrap. A chicken wrap or a steak wrap?
Wrap. And David is heading towards the camera.
Yep.
David is pointing towards the camera. He's trying to figure it out. He's scratching his head.